Now, I know I'd go to war with Tommy Greene.
Tommy
because
Green.
He's a stud. And every Sunday we go on the mound with Tommy Greene, brought to you by the John R. Elliot Hero Campaign for designated drivers. A longtime partner of the Philadelphia Phillies, reminding you not to drink and drive and to always have a designated driver. Designated hitters win games. Designated drivers save lives. Take the Hero Pledge today at herocampaign.org. And remember to be a hero. Be a designated driver. Let's go to the Maserati, the Mainline Sports Hotline, and welcome in our good buddy, Tommy Greene. Good morning, T. Green.
Good morning, Billy. Glad to be on with you guys again.
Tommy, as we sit here on Memorial Weekend, you know the shore resorts are all crowded. Everybody's down here. But we remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. So, Mike's.
Amen, brother. Amen. I mean, this is what this day is about, honoring the people that give us the freedoms that we have.
Now, Tommy Greene, let's get you to participate in our text board question. What Philadelphia what teammate? Let's reduce it to you. What teammate, if you had to go to war with, say like Vietnam or in a submarine or somewhere, who would you go with?
I'll tell you what, man. It comes down to two guys. I mean, obviously the first one would be Dutch, Darren Dalton.
I figured.
And but there's another guy on that team that I played with. I would definitely have in my foxhole. It would be Dave Hollins.
Dave Hollins, yeah.
Yes.
Hey.
He's a serious foxhole guy.
Hey, Tommy, tell us
between
about
those two. It's hard to pick.
yeah. Tommy, tell us about Macho Row. Was that trumped up or was that real? Tell us about that.
Nah, man. I mean, it was legit with those guys down there between Dutch and Head and Inky and Crucky. You know, I mean, it was a gauntlet you had to go through. To earn the right to earn your right there in that clubhouse a little bit. So it was Macho Row. Legit, man.
Tommy, let me ask you this question. Jim Fregosi was the manager of that team, and he was a perfect manager for that bunch of guys. But what made Macho Row so, like, what gave it its notoriety? What did they do that got, not just being tough guys, but what did they to help Jim Fregosi for them to get there?
Well, I mean, to me, it come down to Darren. It come down to Dutch, man. The way he carried himself, I mean, it's like I always tell people says describe Dutch. I said he's a man's man and a woman's dream. Type thing. Yeah. So, I mean, he carried himself and he had a presence about him on guys that made you like that. You carried yourself better. He expected you to be better. So it was type of a macho type of attitude a little bit. But he was a great friend, great person. And he had positive effects on everybody. In that clubhouse.
To be more afraid to upset the guys at Macho Row than the management.
Well, I mean, we held each other accountable, and that's the thing. I always thought the coaches. I was telling Larry Boa the other day. I said y'all had the easiest job on the planet. As far as having to come to us, there weren't no problems that really got to you. It was handled before it got to that point. Between Dutch and the veteran crew there. We were fortunate enough to, you learn how to play the game as young guys the right way, and they learned from the guys before them, like the Larry Boas and, the John Vukovic's and Johnny Padres, the coaches that we had, and Jim Fregosi's, they learned from them, so it never got that far to get to really coaches. It was handled before then.
We're talking with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene. We go on the mound with Tommy Greene every Sunday throughout the baseball season, brought to you by the John R. Elliot Hero Campaign. Talk about a guy that you want to go in a foxhole with. How about the performance yesterday of Zach Wheeler? He looked really impressive, and he looked like he was all business yesterday.
Well, how about that? It's good to see that. I guess that the way he carried himself and what I saw of the game, to see him get on track like that, and that's like the start before. for him to, pitch 6 innings or so, and then, he struck out 3 guys, and he gave up some hits. It was sort of out of the ordinary for him a little bit because he set such a high standard for us to look at it. It just shows that how the game is, and people, they are human. They're not machines out there pitching. That's the facet of the game. But he got back on track yesterday and had an outstanding day against a team that's been playing good baseball.
Hey, Tommy, it's producer Danny Ryan here. I want to pick your brain a little bit real quick about Aaron Nola. Obviously, a contract year for him. He'll be a free agent, and, well, let's just say he hasn't had the greatest of seasons, or greatest of starts at least so far. 68 and 2/3 innings pitched, 35 earned runs, 11 homers allowed, along with 15 walks, 60 strikeouts, and a 4.59 ERA. If you're Dave Dombrowski, are you bringing Aaron back on, however many years he wants on a mat to be going into his age 30 season? It doesn't look like he's really improving, although he can eat a lot of innings. What are your thoughts on Nola back for a ton of money?
Well, I thought I'd bring him back because he does eat innings, and he gets what you need from a starter. Is he that shut-down guy all the time, stuff-wise? No, he's a pitcher. Mm-hmm. And things go on in the big leagues. Game is you spend time. He's going to have your, you look back at years with some of your greatest pitchers ever, Nolan Ryan and freaking Lefty. They didn't have every season great seasons. Mm-hmm. That thing. You find ways you have to battle and you have to overcome some adversity. You might be doing a little thing you're trying to correct. It takes a little bit of time to get that feel. But he's just going through a stretch right now. He's starting to find his way and do some positive things. And he made one start this past week, if I'm not mistaken. And it's hard to look at this past week and say, I wouldn't give him the start, or over the first how many ever starts this year, I wouldn't give him the contract. Now, over the course of this season, could it hurt him as far as a little bit? Yeah, as far as the type of money that he wants. It's in the way I look at that stuff. It's all right to want that, but it's also to be realistic. Does he want to stay here? What is he really? I mean, the rationale and stuff like that. What does he really want to do? And that's going to come down. He's got to come to grips with himself a little bit, and also, the union wants you to get what you can get because that helps other players in your class. So there's all that to consider to try to do. But I know me personally what I would do. I'm staying where I want to stay. This is about me, about my family, what I want to do, And if he feels like that's enough money, whatever they talk about, and he accepts it, I mean, that's good. Could he got more? Maybe, And that comes down. That's just a game you play as far as the business side of it a little bit. But I think he wants to be here. This is, where every player wants to. I guess when I left Atlanta, you felt like, it gave me a little fuel for the fire because I wanted to stay with them. I didn't want to leave there. It wasn't my choice, though. They traded me. Right. So I had to do that. So but if I had a choice, I probably would have stayed because I made home and family. I felt family there, But if things change and, you have to roll with the punches sometimes, and that's the part of the business that Aaron's going through right now, and it's the business side of it.
I think the one thing, you look at, he goes, so for instance, on April 28th in Houston, he throws 8 innings, allowing 1 earned run, no walks, strikes out like 7 batters, looks great. Mm-hmm. Then last week he comes out, he can't even make it through the 3rd inning, 4th inning, he gives up 3 homers, you know what I mean? So it's inconsistent, and if he could just be a little bit more consistent as the year goes on, I think the Phillies, especially with their offensive lineup, now we're seeing a consistency with Stott leading off, Trey Turner in the 2-hole, Harper 3, Castellanos 4, and Schwarber. I think if you can get consistent, I think the Phillies should be in good shape.
Well, that's the thing that every athlete and all the athletes, pitching and hitting, that's what we strive to be. That's consistency. That's what keeps you in the big leagues. Unless unless they're paying you a ton of money for years, they're going to keep you, until they're ready. They say, okay, it's time to go. They're willing to eat, but they're going to keep you. But some guys don't have that luxury. You got to put up and to stay here. You got to be that little more consistent to stay here because somebody's always on your heels. in the minor leagues. And if you're not consistent, they might be looking for a trade or something to fill your position. So it's all about that is what we strive for, is to be consistent. There's one thing getting in pro ball. There's one thing moving up in pro ball each level. And another thing, getting to the big leagues, then another thing, staying in the big leagues. And the key to that is consistency. If you're consistent and you get there, you got the talent. It's all about consistency. And sometimes, you struggle with that. If it was that easy, Billy, you'd be playing. So.
Hey, Tommy, real quick before we let you go, we have a text from one of our more loyal fans here in the locker room. It's Dan in Egg Harbor Township, and he asks, can you ask Tommy if you can really put Schwarber anywhere in the lineup other than ninth? He's batting 160. Now, I don't really agree with this, but, he is batting low for his batting average right now. The homers are there, so it's a valid question. What do you think about Kyle Schwarber's batting average and his lack of contact and, surplus of strikeouts so far?
Oh man, that's part of the. As we've seen this first couple of years here, there's that's his mode. That's his MO a little bit. Is the lack of contact sometimes, but when he gets hot, with far as when he is hitting it hard and stuff, he tends to hit the long ball that can do some things, supply some runs that way. What would I like to see? I'd like to see him the big time concentration when he does his extra work and stuff. And not that I haven't seen none of this personally. I haven't been to the ballpark and able to see him do his extra work and do all that kind of stuff. But as a pitcher, and I'm evaluating him, I'm seeing everything right field. Everything right field. I remember Darren Dalton used to be that, and his way changed when he put in the effort and the time. We talked about it too. Us, NBP and stuff. Trying to hit everything left center, everything. And then in the game, just let it happen. And Darren was notorious of hooking everything foul. Couldn't keep one fair down the line, home run distance. And then all of a sudden, he started keeping things fair. Hitting the home runs, hitting 20, upper 20 home runs, and becoming a better hitter, driving it the other way. It's sort of like Ryan Howard back in the day. When he was going good, he was driving it to left center. He was staying on balls and doing that, And that's the key, I think, to guys that with that type of power. That's, they're not jerking everything or looking, because he's got such quick hands. Schwarber does.
He does.
He really does. He is relying on that. And I know they're working on that stuff. They got to be. To me, it's going. The longer you let it travel, I think the better chance you have to hit it. To all fields. You're not pulling off of it, getting the early strikes. You're keeping stuff fair earlier. You're not fouling when those hard balls he hits hard, pulling them foul. He's staying on balls. And that's the key. And that's Oh, you can't ask for. You got other guys that light up like Stott. Look what he does as a young hitter. What he's doing everywhere. What kind of week did he have? That was an unbelievable week he had. I think. He led the team and doing a number of different things. Runs scored and RBIs. He was up there at the top. And all kind of things. Led an average for the week. Yeah. So he had a great week. So I know his hitters. They're working on things, trying to use the whole field. But that's what I would really love to see Schwarber take advantage of more, because they're going to try to soft him away. There's lefty things that he faces. It's going to help him stay on balls and put balls in play rather than let him strike out too. So that's a huge thing to get him to make more contact.
Hey, his month is coming up on Thursday.
That's
June
right,
is the month
June.
of Schwarber.
All right, so we got the Phillies on national television tonight on ESPN. Covey against Strider. Spencer Strider is a tough customer. We got to him in the playoffs last year, but he's a tough guy to hit. 4-2 with a 2.97 ERA against Covey, and that's on national television tonight on ESPN. Tommy.
Oh yeah, big time. I like that.
All right, Tommy Green. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial weekend, and we really appreciate having you on every Sunday on the mound with Tommy Green. Thanks, T.
I appreciate it, buddy.
There he is, on the mound with Tommy Green, brought to you by the John R. Elliott Hero Campaign for designated drivers. Longtime partner, the Philadelphia Phillies, reminding you not to drink and drive and to always have a designated driver. Designated hitters win games. Designated drivers save lives. Take the Hero Pledge today at heropain.org. And remember, to be a hero, be a designated driver.